Hey everyone, I'm Angeline Constantinou, and this is Her Unapologetic Voice. This podcast was created for women who lead but are done leading from apology. Here we have real, unfiltered conversations about boundaries, truth, and confidence. The kind of talks that remind you your voice is not something you find once, it's something you build. Every episode will give you something real to take with you, whether it's a boundary script, a reflection tool, or simply the courage to say what you really mean. So if you're ready to lead from your truth, not from approval, this is your space. Your unapologetic voice starts here. Welcome to Her Unapologetic Voice, the podcast where women rise, speak boldly, and step into the version of themselves they are no longer apologizing for. So I am your host, Angeline Constantinou, and today we're diving into one of the most important lessons every woman must learn. Stop seeking validation. Why your worth was never up for debate. So if you've ever felt like you had to shrink to be accepted, if you've ever dimmed your light to make others comfortable, if you've ever waited for someone else to approve what God already confirmed, this episode is your breakthrough. And let's get into it. So let's talk about the truth about validation. And by the way, I'm recording this episode because this topic resonates with me, because I used to shrink myself into rooms that I was no longer a part of. And in the past, I have dimmed my light to make others comfortable, to make the peace. So if this is you, please let me know in the comments below. So now let's talk about the truth about validation. Validation is intoxicating. Approval feels like a high. Praise feels like love. But here's the truth. So many women have been conditioned to chase validation because the world taught them that their value comes from what they do, not who they are. We were taught to be polite. We were taught to be quiet. We were taught to be agreeable. And we were taught not to rock the boat. And we also were taught to keep everyone else comfortable, even if it meant losing ourselves in the process. But what about your unapologetic voice? It can't breathe in a space where you're constantly seeking permission. And I can really relate to this because I remember growing up as a child and going into adulthood. I was told to be quiet. In fact, I was told that I was too outspoken and I had to agree with everything, because if I didn't agree with everything, that a war would break out. So if this is you, I can certainly feel your pain here. But now we're going to get into my experience. So I remember the days when I would walk into a room and shrink instantly. And that was because of low self-esteem. And when I changed who I was, depending on who I was with. So when I allowed other people's opinions to override my own intuition, there was a time when I was terrified of not being liked. And let me just elaborate on this point here. We are here on this earth not to be liked. And there's so many people, men and women, who fall into this trap. Okay. So in other words, we are not here to be liked. We are here to stand in our truth and power, regardless of what other people think. Because in the past, I would be terrified that someone would leave, or I would lose a friendship or a relationship, terrified of disappointing people. But then God revealed something to me in that season. And in that season, it said, you're not here to be accepted. You are here to be aligned. That changed everything. And I will give you an example. So my story is, obviously, you all know that I went through domestic violence and I overcame domestic violence. And during that relationship, I was the biggest people pleaser in the world. And I was terrified that I was going to actually lose my relationship, because I felt that I needed validation because of low self-esteem and low self-confidence. So how I was able to overcome and reclaim my worth was invest in myself, investing in personal development and growth, and surrounding myself with mentors and teachers who believed in me, who were on a higher level than me. So this is leading into part 3, why your worth was never up for debate. So your worth is not a community project. It is not determined by who applauded you, who rejected you, or who failed to see your value. So, sister, please listen to me. No one else gets to determine what God has already decided. No one can define your worth. The only person that can define your worth is yourself and God. So God already decided that you were enough, you were worthy, you were capable, and you were chosen, and you never had to earn worthiness. So if this is resonating with you so far, please hashtag resonate in the comments below. So now what we are going to do is we are going to go into 5 powerful ways to stop seeking validation. So, number 1, stop explaining yourself, ladies. And let's start right here because explaining is one of the biggest validation traps. So, women over explain because they fear being misunderstood. They fear disappointing someone. They fear looking selfish. They fear being judged. But hear me out. Over-explaining is a trauma response, not a personality trait. So every time you explain yourself beyond what is necessary, you hand your power away. So in other words, you're giving your power away. So you don't need to justify your boundaries, your goals, your decisions, your standards, and your healing. So I want you to repeat this affirmation. I stand firm in my decisions without seeking approval. Number 2, stop apologizing for things that are not wrong. And I know that a lot of women say sorry for existing. A lot of women who I have witnessed myself, online or in person, they say sorry for no reason at all. They say sorry for asking a question. They say sorry for walking past someone. They say sorry for expressing their emotions. Or they say, sorry, I'll be right back. I have to take care of my kids. They say sorry for setting boundaries, and they say sorry for wanting more. But I have something to tell you here. You are not sorry. You've been conditioned to say, I'm sorry. Every unnecessary apology sends a signal to your subconscious that you're a burden. So no more. So this is the part where we have to rewire our brains. So instead of saying, I'm sorry, try saying, I appreciate your understanding. I hear you. Thank you for your patience. And my affirmation here, repeat after me, is I do not apologize for taking up space. So let's go into number 3. Say no without a follow-up sentence. This is very, very important. Okay. Saying no is self-respect, not selfishness. I used to be the biggest people pleaser, and people pleasers add explanations because they feel they have to explain themselves in order to feel validated, but they fear conflict. They fear a confrontation. They fear disappointing others. They fear abandonment. They fear being seen as difficult. But here's the truth. Your no is not a rejection. Your no is protection. So, protection of your time, your peace, your identity, and your emotional bandwidth. So, in other words, for me, it's more important to protect my peace instead of explaining myself. Ladies, we don't need to explain ourselves why we're saying no, because guess what? We know our worth. You're protecting your time, your peace, your identity. A powerful woman can say a clean, clear, confident no and trust herself. So please repeat this affirmation. No is a complete sentence, and I trust myself when I say it. So you have to feel confident. So like when you say no, be confident and stand in your truth. And there's no need to explain yourself. If there is something that you are presented with and it doesn't resonate with you, I say no. Now, for me, I say no. Like, in other words, a few weeks ago, I was presented with an opportunity and it did not resonate with me. It didn't resonate with my mission and vision. So I politely said no. And we don't need to explain ourselves, ladies. So stand in your truth and be assertive. Stop asking for permission to dream big. And this one really, really resonates because I'll tell you why. Women raised in survival mode feel guilty for wanting more. There is only so much that you can stay in survival mode, ladies. It's okay to dream big. And if God is putting the dream in your heart, that is your permission. Dreams are divine instructions. So stop asking people who are operating in fear to validate dreams God gave you. So women who are raised in survival mode, they feel guilty for wanting more. They minimize their dreams. They shrink themselves. They shrink their desires. They wait for someone else to validate the very thing God placed inside of them. So I want you please to repeat this affirmation. I no longer ask for permission to pursue the life God called me to live, because we are all created in God's image, and God created the universe, and the universe rewards action. And as women, now we're being more vocal in the workplace. We're being more vocal in terms of sharing our stories, rewriting our stories. That's really, really important. So stand strong. You do not have to ask permission anymore, okay, to pursue the life that God has called you to live, because God has called you to live an abundant, wealthy, joyful life. Let's go to number 5. Surround yourself with women who celebrate you, not compete. This is my favorite. And I know for me, this is something that I had to really work on. You cannot rise in environments that try to suppress your voice. So your circle matters. Your community matters. Your energy matters. When you're surrounded by women who clap for you, who applaud for you, who pray for you, pull greatness out of you, and celebrate your growth, you stop shrinking because you feel safe to expand and share your voice and story. So please repeat this affirmation. I welcome women who amplify my voice and my purpose. And I'm going to repeat that again. I welcome women who amplify my voice and my purpose. That's it. Surround yourselves with women who celebrate your success. That is so important. And the key to becoming unapologetic is number 6, validate yourself. Here's the truth that will change your life. The woman you become is determined by the voice you listen to the most. So when you validate yourself, your decisions become stronger, your confidence deepens, your boundaries solidify, your identity becomes unshakable. Your confidence goes up. You become unshakable. External validation feeds your ego. Self-validation feeds your soul. So, repeat after me. Repeat this affirmation. I validate myself. I affirm myself. I trust myself. I want you to declare this right now. My worth was never up for debate. I am done shrinking. I am done chasing approval. I am done apologizing for my power. This is the beginning of your unapologetic season. This is your activation. So, thank you for tuning in to Her Unapologetic Voice. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with a woman who needs to hear this reminder today. So please follow the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple, and stay tuned for more episodes that help you step into the woman you were always meant to be. Your voice matters. Your story matters. And your unapologetic self is just getting started. Thank you all for tuning in, and I wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to Her Unapologetic Voice. Every conversation here is meant to help you build confidence from the inside out and find strength in your own words. If today's message resonated, follow the show and share it with a friend who's ready to lead from who she truly is. You can also connect with me on social media at Her Unapologetic Voice Podcast for updates and behind the scenes insights. Remember, confidence begins when you stop apologizing for your truth and start speaking from it. I'm Angeline Constantinou, and I will see you in the next episode.